Hi. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me okay? We good? Thank you. Thank you for being here. I sure appreciate you. Okay, let's see. We're about to start. We're on the 1 minute mark. Where we at? Where we at? Hey, okay, cool, cool, cool. Thank you for coming through. I appreciate you so much. We got a good show today. I'm about to go into my Twitter spaces and open up the room with a session I'm very excited about. Hey, what's up, Kush? What up, what up? Thank you for coming through. Sure appreciate you and all of you who are in here lurking. Feel free to come through in the chat if you like what we're doing. Subscribe, you know what to do. Hit all the bells and the whistles. Here we go. It's 1 o'clock. So I'm gonna go into the room and first let me do my iPhone. We're in here. We're connected. We're connected. Okay, cool. And then if you're watching this on Twitter and Twitch, you might get a little bit of an echo. So you want to like mute one or the other. And I try to mute my mic at all times when I'm in Twitter Spaces. And if I don't, feel free to tell me in the chat, like you're getting a weird echo or whatever. But we shouldn't. It should be fine. So without further ado, here we go. And share with a tweet. A deep diddle deep. A doot doodle doo. And press X. And my mic is off. And now my mic is on. Check, check one. Check, check two. Ha! Check one, check two. Okay. So, hello, session. I invite you to speak. Hopefully that comes through. A deep, delete, delete, do. We got technology, people. We are like going through all the platforms. Hey, what's up? Thank you for coming through. Thank you for coming through in the room. Just waiting for session to get on the mic. Just send him an invite. Thank you for coming through. If you're coming in, please retweet the room, share the room out so other people can see too. So happy that you're here. Sending you another invite. And hopefully you get it. Hopefully you get that invite. Yay. Hello, welcome, welcome.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on here. So you're live on here and on Twitch at the same time, yeah?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I'm going through all of the different platforms right now. I am like all through the internet and the Web3 movement. So thank you for being here right now. I appreciate you. You're on Twitch too, right? You got your own Twitch channel.
I do, but I barely even use it anymore. In fact, probably like a couple weeks since I came back from Peru, I ended up throwing the towel for Twitch streaming for this time being. Just to focus on the coaching, to focus on content creation on other platforms, podcasts, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. So yeah, but I still respect the game. I love Twitch, you know. And I definitely miss that community vibe. I'm working on something new for community and academy program I'm building right now.
I'm very excited to learn more about that. But before we go into that, you haven't thought about doing coaching on Twitch? You haven't thought about just pivoting?
I have. The thing about Twitch is, now this is just my story behind it, right? Because I've been on Twitch since 2015.
Right.
So I've been on there for a while. I built my own community and all that. When I started really growing my Twitch channel, and I would maximize around like between 30 to 40 viewers average. That was like the normal time at my peak, I would say. But with that community, as I grew as a person, I definitely outgrew like my own audience. Before my coaching days, I was really into just being crazy, loud, lewd, and I still like that part of me. But I'm all about coaching now. I'm all about helping people become the best version of themselves. And only a small percentage of the community that I built really resonates with that and has joined me into this new community that I've built. So with that being said, with the community I was around, it just made it kind of hard to want to put that energy into Twitch. And I notice how much more efficiently I can get my message across on platforms like Twitter, Instagram, my podcasts, emails, and just private coaching as well. So I've thought about it, but yeah, at this point I'm just gonna have to hold it off for now. But we'll see what happens though. Like maybe I might have that urge to want to be doing like a live Twitch show like every few days or so where I can coach on there. But right now, like Twitter Spaces works just perfectly for that.
I completely understand. Twitch is a lot. You're pretty much running your own broadcast station by yourself.
Exactly.
It's a lot.
Exactly.
Not.
It's a lot of work and it's a lot of like hours too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and as I've been getting more busier with building my coaching business and getting new clients, I just been wanting to focus on the things that really, really lift up my vibe, and Twitch was kind of like bringing down my vibe a little bit too.
That's relatable. I can relate to that, and that's funny that you say that because I felt that way about Twitter Spaces. Can you do me one favor, Session? Can you mute your mic when I'm speaking?
Apologies.
No, it's okay because that's the one issue with the again being across all the platforms because the different microphones. So it's like we can only have one mic on at a time is what I've realized because other people like their echo will pick up when it's broadcasted because again it is like you're running your own broadcast television. It is a lot of stress. You have to make sure all the mics are working, everything is connected, all your cameras are working. I swear, like not even 5 minutes before we started this, the share screen for the iPhone started tripping. And I was like, oh man, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me right now, like right before we were about to get into it. But thankfully, like I was able to pull it all together and we got it in, and I do appreciate everybody. I just want to let you know that this is being broadcast on Twitch and this is being recorded as well. So anybody who's in the room, thank you for being in the room. I see we got some heads in here. I see Mindset. I see Rose. I see Villains Academy, Divine. Birkins, Christian, all these new people I see. Thank you for coming in. If you could do me a favor and share the room, just hit the little circle in the bottom with the plus sign and share it out to people. And if you already did, thank you so much because this is each one teach one, and this is going to be recorded so that other people can learn from this later. And today, just to do a little reset, we are speaking with Session, who is a life coach who works on public speaking and social anxiety for anyone out there who could benefit from this. And I checked out your website. I have so many questions. I think it's really great. I'm so happy that you're here. Thank you for taking the time to come and do this interview. I really appreciate you. And thank you to everybody in the room who's in here listening and sharing with us in the knowledge. So the first thing that I want to ask you about is where are you from and what is your background?
I love that. Great question. Thank you. Thank you for having me on here, Brisa. Is it Brisa, by the way?
Yes, it is. Lisa, thank you.
All right, perfect. So that's good. I remember from last time when we engaged in Spaces. So I am right now I currently live in Worcester, Massachusetts, but I am from a small little town called Boxborough, Massachusetts. It's about 30 minutes north. In relations to Boston, they're both about 40 minutes west of Boston. Massachusetts is a pretty small state, so except if you live like in far western Mass, for the most part, a lot of people who live in Massachusetts are about an hour away from Boston or within an hour. So, I was born and raised in a culture that was all about the hustle, all about the grind. Both my parents are from Iran originally. I was the firstborn in the United States, and just that culture from Iranian culture to like the high school and the middle school I went to as well, Acton Boxborough Regional High, they're all about the grind as well, very competitive in achieving, and that's pretty much where my background is. And we can talk more about this into how I found the transformation into coaching, but I really realized that a lot of that hustle culture isn't what I'm all about. I mean, I can appreciate it, but I realized that isn't really me. And being able to break free from that was a huge part of my self-discovery journey.
Definitely. I can relate with that so much because being in the NFTs and the Web3s, there's a lot of hustle culture mentality. I mean, it's literally called shilling, which is hustling somebody. It's like they have rooms where like they just have to chill, and it's like it's this different type of like ethos that I'm not familiar with as an artist, you know, because I've always been like a creator before a capitalist. And when you really, really want to make fundamental change, you have to make sure that your intentions are pure behind that. So that's what I really like about what you do is it seems like you really get to the core and to the intention. So can you tell us where you're at now and what your offerings are, and tell us a little bit about that transformation journey that you were speaking of earlier, please?
Absolutely. So you mean where I'm at now, with, like in life, or like where do I live right now?
Both, because one and the same, right? Both. Sure.
Yeah, so Worcester, Massachusetts is where I live right now. Again, it's about 40 minutes west of Boston. It's located in central Mass. Where I am at in life right now is a pretty good spot. Like, I'm pretty grateful for where I'm at. Like, I'm 27 years old. I got my own house. Got my own dog over here. She's chilling. She's chilling with me here on the bed right now. And I teach, coach, and mentor other people to break free from their social anxiety using a methodology I learned from my mentor called Cognitive Mastery and Emotional Ownership, which is essentially a spiritual science. It's a mix of psychology, neuroscience, and spiritual teachings.
Yes, that is amazing. That is incredible. And how do you use that? Where do you see yourself going with that?
Definitely even further places. I mean, I started the Cognitive Mastery and Emotional Ownership journey February of 2021, so a little over a year ago. Went by really fast. I started personal development just on myself, mostly towards my Twitch channel, back in 2018, but never really got too involved with the actual inner work stuff until a little over a year ago, yeah. So where do I see myself going with Cognitive Mastery and Emotional Ownership? So far, I'll tell you where it's gotten me so far and how I see it for my future and the future of the collective. As far as me, this methodology has freed me from my own suffering, freed me from my social anxiety. It has taught me how to heal. It has taught me how to be at peace with myself, the world, and those around me. It has taught me forgiveness. It's taught me compassion, love, and it's taught me to learn how to listen to myself, listen to my inner voice, my inner compass that wants to show me what is going to make me happy and not listen to my mind, my conditioning. So it pretty much has so far helped me break free from my conditioning, learn to trust myself in everything that I do, and be able to act on it as well after doing that inner work. And when you're aligned with the things you want to do, the outcomes just come in your favor. It just happens because you're doing what's right for you. Mm-hmm. Which, when you're doing what's right for you, when you're listening to that inner voice, you're doing what's right for others as well. Because we're here to bring people up. You know, this is... That's when I think tribe mentality. I don't think of this, 2022 social media stuff where people are all in tribes and like putting each other down. When I think tribe mentality, I think of a group that learns from each other and brings each other up. Mm-hmm. And I'm just playing my part here. Mm-hmm. So that is where Cognitive Mastery Emotional Ownership has brought me so far, to learn these skills myself, to really break free from my own suffering and to be able to apply it into my life and now pass it down to others and teach others. So where do I think this methodology is going to bring me even further? I'm going to be cutting back on one-on-one coaching a little bit for the next couple of weeks. I only have 2 spots available. I'm not really putting out that much availability for the next month or two. And I'm going to be focusing on my academy. It's been since August since I launched Shesh's Life Coaching. I've been coaching people even casually before that since the late spring, early summer. I've helped a lot of people get out of pretty bad spots in their own mind. I've helped people really find their true confidence, their true selves. And a lot of my past students and current students I know are all using this methodology that I've taught them, this formula of life, and to be able to apply it in their lives as well. So where I see myself in the future with this is being able to build a community of people bettering each other through this methodology and building an academy around that as well. The purpose of the academy is not only to just be a teacher and teach, but it's also to create, in my opinion, an affordable program compared to one-on-one coaching, where people can come in, they can learn, they can also make friends, they can build each other up, and they can create a space for true tribe mentality. Not this tribe mentality that we're taught tribe mentality is, but the real tribe mentality. To show people on the internet what the world can really be like through this community, through this space, through this fam. So that is what I'm currently working on building. The community is already sort of open. I've just been inviting people here and there into the Discord, but I'm starting to build my modules for the academy as well. And once that starts, I mean, everything's just going to lift off from there. Like, I really have been getting myself aligned for the future of this right now.
That is incredibly exciting. I hope everybody in the room is as excited about this as I am, because I can't wait to hear more about this. Do you have a Discord that you want to share with the room? Would you like to pin it to the top for the people that are interested?
So if you are into personal development, self-growth, bettering yourself, whether it be inner work, your business, anything, relationships, even we have a parenting section on there as well. Feel free to join. This isn't a Discord though where we just like kind of, I don't know if these are, a lot of these people are Twitch people on here or anything, but just a heads up, it isn't one of those Discords where we just share a bunch of just random stuff and gaming news and all that. And don't get me wrong, I respect all that as well, but I just want to give you a heads up that that's what it is, just so you all know what to expect if you want to join. So if you want to join, you're into that stuff, you're more than welcome into the community. How do I pin the Discord on?
So pinning to the top, which hopefully this will be helpful for anybody in the room who doesn't know how to do this, you want to make a tweet. And once you make the tweet, there's a way to share that tweet. And when you share that tweet, at the very top, it will have the name of this room. It'll say how to build confidence for introverts. And if you just press that, you can pin it to the top of the room.
That's right. Actually, you know what? She showed me this the other week. So thank you. I'm going to do that right now. Thank you so much.
Yes. No, thank you. Thank you for sharing. And I want to like kind of go back on what you talked about, because it's like, it was a lot. Like, it was so much information that it's like, you can't even really glaze over it that fast. You talked about doing the inner work that it takes to make you feel confident yourself before you can even be of service to others. And I think that that's something where most people tend to fall short, where we have family, we have friends, we have all of these other obligations that we feel like we have to fulfill first without really taking care of ourselves within. And I think that's really great that you're working on people doing the inner work first, because everybody likes to get distracted with, work or family or friends or other problems rather than their own within and trying to solve them. So I think that's really important for anybody who wants to really build confidence from within, is working on themselves first. And that's great that you have a parenting program too, because we're all working on our inner child. We're all trying to reparent the way that we were parented, and then forgive our parents for not really having those same skills. So that's wonderful that you're doing that. And I'm very excited to hear about the academy. I think that's great. I can tell, and I think it's from the other times that we've spoke before, it's really interesting how we connected through Zon. Shout out to Zon, inner practitioner. If anybody else is in the room who knows who that is, that's how we met with Session. And just really knowledgeable, insightful about sense of self, and protecting yourself and who you are. And I think that it's really important that people realize that, like, confidence isn't something that you build overnight. It's something that you have to cultivate. In the same way, just like you have a little small flame and you have to build it up until you have a raging fire. Like, you have to keep giving it fuel. You have to keep giving it tinder. You have to keep giving it enough energy to be able to sustain. Because having confidence, you don't have it all the time. Do you know what I mean? It goes up and it goes down. And it's one thing that you want to constantly maintain and keep it steady, at least in my experience with that. So my question to you now, Session, is what is confidence to you? And I think it's different for everybody, but what is confidence to you? And how would you define confidence?
That's a really good one. I would define confidence as the action, like doing the thing. Like, I believe in the fact that you can feel confidence, but whenever I think about confidence, it's always the action. Because it's the ability to be able to hold your own, no matter whether you're in an unknown or a known scenario. When I think of the word confidence, that is what I think of. When I think of the word arrogance, I think of someone who is trying to be better than other people, or says they're better than other people, believes that they're better than other people. And then when I think of insecure, I think of people or scenarios, actions that show that they're not good enough to hold their own. People that think they're not good enough to hold their own, or act like they're not good enough to hold their own. Think of almost just like a basketball game, right? The confident player on the court is the one that holds their own, right? Whether they're playing center, forward, point guard, they are holding their own space and they are doing their part to play the game, to play ball, right? When you have the arrogant player on the court, shout out to Kyrie Irving. I'm sorry, from Boston. I'm not a big fan of Kyrie. When you are an arrogant player on the court, you're the ball hog, right? You're not passing it. You only care about kind of being the showman on the court. And then when you're the insecure one, you're not holding your own. Like, maybe you are too scared to make a move. You're too scared to contribute. You're kind of avoiding that pressure of being of having the ball be passed to you so you can make the play.
That's a great way to put it. That's a really great way to put it. I think having confidence is definitely still being able to look out for others when you look out for yourself. That's definitely something that I wish more people understood, that how you build true confidence is by being able to cultivate that in others. When you see someone be inspired by something that you did, there's an intrinsic value in that, no matter what it is, whether it's taking out the recycling, whether it's parking properly, whether it's, doing something like having a glass bottle instead of buying plastic bottles. There's something really, really intrinsically valuable about having a small influence and a small positive change in somebody's life. And I think that builds confidence. That builds a lot of confidence. So that's great that you put it like that. And that's a great analogy with the basketball team. How do you harness confidence to speak? How do you harness the energy that it takes to inspire others? I think we've talked about this before in Zon Space, where I was like, but like, what do you do when you feel like that light's about to go out? But my question to you is like, how do you harness your energy and protect your energy when you go up to speak?
I love that. So I did hear 3 different questions there, though. I did hear, the energy. How do I harness the energy when I'm about to speak? How do I harness the energy of confidence? And then you asked me how do I harness the energy of something else as well. But as far as how do I harness my energy when I'm about to speak, I stay present. And I guess this works for all of it too. I mean, confidence and any sort of good vibrational energy, a high vibe energy, right? Because the goal of confidence, or I guess you say the way you are confident, isn't really so much about being in a high vibrational energy all the time. It's about being comfortable with all energies, all vibrations, and knowing that that's just what it is. It's just a vibration.
That's right.
So, for example, how do I harness a positive energy when I am speaking in an unknown area? I don't know the people. There's a lot of anticipation. How do I let go of that? How do I still be myself? For me, it's about detaching from the stories. I can give all these action lists like, breath work before, all this stuff. And those things help, don't get me wrong, but it's all about detaching from the story. See, when you're feeling uncomfortable, whether by another person's presence or by a scenario, it's because of your thoughts of that person or scenario. It's not necessarily the scenario itself. The scenario itself is always neutral. The way other people are always neutral. The way they act around you is completely neutral. It's your thoughts about it. So what it's all about is really learning how to detach. Learning how to detach from your thoughts so you can be able to choose with intention what your thoughts are about a person, place, or thing. And that's how you harness the energy. I mean, by harnessing the energy, you're really asking is, how do I, keep a good momentum, a positive vibration while doing things throughout the week? It's about understanding and realizing and being present with low vibrations. Asking yourself, why am I feeling this way? What's going on? Searching within for an answer instead of trying to control the external. And that right there is how you harness the energy, by just surrendering to the low vibrations and changing the story. In fact, I'm going to be doing a deeper analysis on emotional ownership on my podcast episode tomorrow. So that comes out tomorrow morning. You definitely want to check it out. I talk about a 4-step process on how to feel your feelings as well, and how to change the stories behind those feelings. Because that's really what it is. Feelings are also neutral. Sad is neutral. Frustration is neutral. Anger is neutral. Happiness is just as neutral as frustration, one can argue. It's what we're told about those emotions and those feelings that create suffering within. Mm-hmm. Imagine how you could describe anger without human language, without words. How can you describe happiness, joy, without words? How can you describe love without words? There was a time in human history where we did that. This is going back even deeper and deeper to our true being of who we are as animals, as just a being without language. It's about accepting and surrendering to that and being present with it and understanding everything else that comes after that is just a story.
Beautiful. Beautiful. That was so well said. It is like our primal instincts. And like, you're so right. Like, before we had language, how are we communicating these emotions and these feelings? And you're so right. Like, we have to go back to where we were. And I think that's what's so beautiful about art and being able to create, is because as you were saying that, it's like, oh, I've seen so many paintings that described all those emotions in all those different ways. And that's really the beauty of being an artist, is being able to tap into those emotions, accepting the duality. There's a reason why there's such a high, there's a reason why there's such a low. And when the darkness is dark, just remember it's going to be light too. And you have to really accept that and be in it and then let it go. Some people like to dwell. Some people like to stay in that darkness. So my next question for you is, how do you deal with rejection? How do you deal with people talking over you, maybe sometimes, or dismissing your idea when you finally get the opportunity or the courage to speak? How do you deal with that rejection?
That's a really good question. I love that, because handling that was actually something quite recent. Not too recently, but sort of recently. When I was growing out of my own Twitch community and switching over from cracking dick jokes and being lewd all the time to talk about self-discovery and self-improvement and bettering yourself as a human being, I would get some yawns in the chat, some of the what's that sleeping face emoji? I don't know. It's been a while since I've been on Twitch. Whatever that emoji is called. I would get some people who just kind of vocally say, like, I'm not really into the self-growth stuff. And that's okay, right? At first, it would cause me a lot of frustration. But after bringing it up to my coach and also coaching myself through it as well, it's the story that I'm attaching to those outcomes. You see, when someone is dismissing your ideas or rejecting you, it's only rejection because of the story you're putting around it, right? Like if you want a job, or if you want to feel accepted amongst a group of people, or if you want to date this girl at work or whatever, right? And maybe not at work, but somewhere at the park. You see a girl at the park, you want to date her. It's not rejection unless the story behind it is rejection. Because it can also be redirection too. That's the knowing. Mm-hmm. It's funny you were asking me earlier about wanting to coach on Twitch and all that, wanting to give it a try. But I think that was my redirection at that time. The redirection was, hey, you've changed differently, you're glowing differently, your vibe is different than what it was 2-3 years ago. You can bring this content elsewhere. Twitch isn't the only place. And I explored those options, and now here I am. I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing pretty well, and I feel very connected and made a lot of new friends these past 6 months. It's really just the story. Mm-hmm. Because the circumstance, right? Someone's rejection, right? Hey guys, I'm into self-growth. This is my new content. Getting yawns in the chat. Getting, you're just talking about self-growth again. Where the fuck are all the dick and balls jokes? Right? It's just, that's just a neutral circumstance. Mm-hmm. Now, what do I want my thoughts to be about that? Oh, how dare they? Oh, this is because I'm not good at making content, yada, yada, yada. I could choose those stories. In fact, maybe some of those stories are the ones that may come in unintentionally because your conditioning is attaching itself to stories that don't serve you, that maybe come from childhood, middle school, high school, that's still laid deep in your subconscious, controlling you like a puppet, right? That's your mind talking to you, not you. Or I can choose to be aware of those thoughts and say, hey, wait a minute, maybe this just isn't the vibe. These people aren't into these things. I can't force someone to be into self-growth. That'd be ridiculous. Kind of would defeat the purpose of inner work and mindfulness and peace and meditation, or forcing someone to do it. So what else can I do? Well, what are some other thoughts I can have? How can I teach it to them differently? Or could I bring these new talents, these new skills, these new teachings elsewhere and see what the response is? And that's what I did. And then when you do that, you feel more aligned with your mission, when you're thinking as your true self, and you're letting your soul be the driver of your life now, not your mind.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's so well said. And honestly, I think if you just rebrand and restart your Twitch, Streamlabs lets you link YouTube too. I have a feeling if you just did a new audience and found your self improvement crowd, because that's really what I call them. That's what I am. I'm into the self-improvement. I'm forever into self-improvement. There's home improvement. There's self-improvement. There's body improvement, mind improvement. We all have to do that. And so I'm a big fan of it. And I think that YouTube has been helpful because it's able to replay it over and over, whereas Twitch will delete it unless you make clips, which is hella annoying because you got to go through and do that, I see everybody in the room. Thank you so much to everybody who's in the room. We are at the 30-minute mark here, just about. Please share the room out if you can. That little blue circle in the bottom. I see everybody that's in the room. All the homies appreciate you. Thank you so much. I have one last question, and then I want to get into opening the floor, if that's okay with you. I, of course, want to hear, before we open the floor, any new projects or anything else. We did hear about the Academy, which I'm very excited about. But I want to open the floor and just let people come up and kind of ask any questions they might have, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, I would love to answer some questions. Just the Academy is my biggest project right now. I got back into podcasting as well, so I'm bringing out those episodes every week on Fridays.
Yes, everybody. That's the new thing, is doing the podcast. These Twitter spaces are basically like podcasts, clubhouse type things, especially with the recordings now, which I love, like all of this new technology and taking advantage of it. But my last question for you, and I do see I have some requests to come up, which I'm so excited. By the way, right now, people in the room, I'm opening up the floor. So if anybody wants to come up and ask their question, feel free. We're going to be going on a one-by-one basis, just because I have issues with the mic. And when you come up to speak after you ask your question, please mute your mic, just so that we don't have any issues with the double recording. But my last question for you before I open up the floor, and by the way, for my nonverbal or shy people, feel free to DM me. I'm going to be checking the messages as well and asking any questions to Sean, right? It's just Sean, right? We can call you Sean.
Yeah, you can just call me Sean too. Either one works.
For Sean, if you have any questions for them and you don't feel comfortable coming up on the microphone to speak, please DM me or shoot me a tweet and at me, and I will be checking that, and you can definitely get your question heard. I want to make sure that all my introverts out there are being heard, even if they're not comfortable being on the mic. Okay, so my last question for you, and thank you so much for doing this. This is really amazing to hear your insightfulness. I'm so glad that I can expose you to a new community, the NFT community, because there's a lot of people here who could really use on this confidence building. And I think what you're doing is amazing, and I love to hear about the Academy. But my last question for you is, what kind of aftercare do you do after a big event? A big event, for me, when I used to do events, I didn't know I was an introvert until I knew I was an introvert, because man, big events used to drain me. So what do you do as aftercare for you after a big, huge event?
That's a really good question, because not many people talk about aftercare for social events or anything. I usually do my best to do some sort of, recharge for myself after social events, big events, even small events too, even one-on-one coaching sessions. Sometimes it can be difficult to help someone work through their suffering, and you really take on a lot of that energy. There's nothing wrong with that, right? It's part of what I do. So, yeah, as far as what do I do to take care of myself after work? Meditation, clearing my mind, listening to music. But most of the time, meditation, though, even if I've meditated like a decent amount that day, even just 5 minutes of breath work. And then if it's like a big social event or something that takes up a lot of the day, I make sure I have the next day mostly for myself to just chill, read, meditate, work out, all that good stuff.
Excellent advice. I hope everybody took notes on that, because that's so important. Even on any event, make sure you have aftercare and take time. You don't just keep jumping from one thing to the next, because that can be very depleting to do that. So thank you so much for answering all my questions. I'm now going to open up the floor. And first one up is Villains Academy. So let me add a speaker. Welcome. Thank you for coming up.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
If you don't mind me asking two questions. One is, what was I going to say? Sorry, ADHD. One is, I don't know if you touched on it already, but what drives you to be, like, what drove you to be a life coach? Like, what is your why, if you will? And then also, like, what was the hardest thing you had to deal with as a coach?
Those are really good questions, Dylan. Thank you, brother. What drove me to be a life coach was how powerful my awakening was, that I knew that it would just not feel right if I didn't share. Pretty much, I was going through a lot of finding myself before I met my coach, who taught me cognitive mastery and emotional ownership. And when I realized the power of the mind, when I realized how powerful my true self really is, when I really discovered who I am as just a being, it was the most freeing process of my life. I even go back to some of my old journals from like the spring of 2021 and just the growth that's in there. Some of like just that, because for the people in here who maybe have experience with their own inner awakening, wave of knowing and freedom feels so fucking good. It's just, you get a lot of weight off your shoulders. And just coming out of that feeling so much lighter and how good I felt. I knew that this was for me. I didn't know how exactly I wanted to pass this knowledge along. I actually thought it was just going to be content creation at first. Then I really realized how much I love that more intimate setting, whether it be one-on-one or small groups where I can talk and help people out and all that. So I realized that life coaching was actually with what I wanted to do. So that is my why. My why is to free people from their emotional and mental suffering and help them understand that life is truly limitless. You all got a deserving moment in your life to say, oh God, yes, have that. I show you how to get there. I show you how to find that within yourself, and I show you how to discover yourself. Yeah, my why really is about wanting to help people be free and live themselves. And with that limitless life. What was your second question?
The most difficult thing you had to deal with as a life coach, or in life in general, if that's a better question.
Yeah. Ooh. So I'll answer both of those. My most difficult, I would say so far, and I say difficult with quotes here because nothing has really been difficult. Anything that's came to me that's been very uncomfortable, I'm really grateful and happy to say I've grown as a person so much that I know how to handle difficulty with running, my coaching business, my practice, and students. I know how to handle that in a way where we can move forward at a efficient pace, right? I would say the most difficult part of coaching is that, for me at least, is that balance between being there for others and making sure I'm working on myself too. Like finding and testing and doing trial and error with my own recharge time. Because as you get more clients and as you work on people in between, right? Because like all my private students have unlimited text to me. They can hit me up whenever they want. That's part of the program. So I'm there. I put in a lot of my time into my students. So being able to learn my own personal boundaries in that sense was definitely something that I had to explore. But now I definitely feel on top of all that.
Very cool. Thank you so much for your question, Villains Academy. And thank you. Were you done, Sean?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I see that we have Gratitude Junkie come up, and then I also brought up Mindset, but we're gonna let Gratitude Junkie go first, if that's okay, Mindset, and then we'll probably end it on Mindset because I want to respect Sean's time. And if anybody else wants to come up or ask a question in a DM, feel free to do so. And Gratitude Junkie, thank you for coming up.
Hey, thanks for allowing me to speak. Hey, Shashan. Oh my goodness. You're so wise, and I love that. I wanted to say that I'm really looking forward to hearing your podcast on how to feel your feels, how to feel those feelings. And a lot of times we kind of resort to like eating and drinking and smoking and sex and and so I just wanted to say that I am really looking forward to hearing your take on how we just kind of accept and surrender ourselves to our feelings rather than turning to other devices and things like that. I think that's very, very, very important as you are growing to be able to learn how to manage that. So I just wanted to say thanks for that, and I look forward to hearing that.
Thank you so much, Gratitude. And hey, it's amazing to be able to hear your voice finally. I know we've been
on Twitter for the last couple of weeks. So thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, Sheshan's my morning buddy, so yeah, it's good to talk to you.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for coming up and sharing that gratitude. I'm very excited too, like to hear about all of the projects and the fact that it's kind of going to be a group funding kind of thing. I think is great too. So thank you so much, gratitude, for coming up. And I see we got Mindset. What's up, brother? How you doing?
What's up, sis? How y'all doing? I'm sitting here enjoying the conversation. I have a question, if I may. I just want to know, like, how do you set the boundaries between you and your students? I have a young brother who I've been mentoring for a while, and it's been difficult for me to set boundaries with him because he reminds me so much of myself. And but like I think that it's time for me to set new boundaries for him. So what is it like when you're deciding to set boundaries for you and your the people that you're teaching?
That's a really good question, like that. I love it. I can tell you, obviously, love. Is it a little brother, like biological brother, or like just a friend?
No, he's a young brother that I met 2 years ago, and he's actually coming into his own right now. Where he's reaching a lot of stardom, and he definitely crosses the boundaries. He calls 3 o'clock in the morning. I ask him to do something, and he can be very lax, but he has opportunity. I don't want him to waste it. I also don't want to shun away from it, but I gotta set boundaries for myself. So what is it like when you're setting boundaries for you and your students?
I love it. Great question. Yeah, so there is the thought and feeling work behind it, right? That intention, and then there's the action. I can give you a bajillion different actions, like say, maybe you can tell them no phone calls after midnight till 7 a.m., right? Or you could just not touch your phone at certain hours of the day, or not react to that urge to respond right away, knowing that it's not an emergency, it's fine, you can hit them up whenever you make your time first, right? There's a ton of actions there that we can use. As far as the inner work behind that, you want to be in tune with your thoughts and feelings. So let's say you're having a busy day, you're working on yourself, you got all this stuff going on, you gotta talk to your parents, you gotta talk to your friend, you got a date later that day, you got a bunch of meetings, all this stuff, right? And then your friend who you care about a lot and you're mentoring, which is amazing, by the way. Like, that's a beautiful thing to do, to be able to share your time with others. So I applaud you for that, bro. But you gotta make that time for yourself too, right? So if you feel like you don't feel socially or mentally rested, and he hits you up, whether he calls you, leaves you a voicemail, texts you, messages you, whatever, right? And you are not in the mood to respond, listen to yourself. And then I'm going to safely assume that when you are not in the mood to respond, your mind may make excuses like, oh, I really care about this guy, I don't want him to go off a bad path, I don't want him to think that I'm ignoring him, right? Like, does that happen when you feel like you're in the mood to
Pull off your phone, but you're responding anyways?
Yeah.
The reason why that's happening is from your conditioning. Somewhere in your upbringing, somebody told you that it's rude to ignore calls. Someone told you that someone needs your help, you gotta act on it. Or something like that. Some sort of story was placed in your mind, so now when you're taking care of yourself first before taking care of somebody else, your mind is coming into play because it's judging you for it. Now, this is a survival tactic at the end of the day. Back before we were in civilization, we needed that lizard brain to avoid rejection, because if we avoid rejection, we would make someone else feel bad. You could get kicked out of the tribe, and then we would get eaten by a predator out in the wild. Freezer them, not a tribe, and the tribe can't support us in that way. So your mind is essentially associating you with not hitting him up as death. obviously you know that that's not death. Like consciously as a person, you know that you're not gonna die. The worst case scenario is just a vibration, it's just a negative feeling. In fact, all you can say it's not even a negative feeling, it's more of an uncomfortable feeling. Negative and positive behind feelings of scores that we create. You get an uncomfortable feeling. You know that leaving him on read or not messaging him or saying, hey, I'll talk about this later, maybe the possibility of, oh no, I might forget to reach out to him later. Your mind is telling you, I am not ready to fix that scenario, or I should even say, I am not ready to potentially feel an uncomfortable emotion if confronted. And when I say confrontation, not even with him, but within yourself. So what you want to start doing is let go of the judgment that you're putting behind your time. Let go of the judgment you're putting behind taking care of yourself first. Because when you do that, when you show up for him, you're going to be refreshed, you're going to be happy, you're going to feel aligned, and you're going to be happy that you made that space for him, made space for yourself first. So that will be the thoughts and the feelings behind it. And as far as action, how you express that value, do it however you want. Some people just check their phone when they're in the mood to check their phone. Some people say, hey, I'm calling for these times of the day, so I'm sleeping or working or whatever. That is up to you, but it's going to feel more aligned when you really get to know your mind first. Does that make sense, Philip?
Yeah, Breezy always tells me to protect my energy. Is something that a lot of the people who are light workers in the community tell me to do, to make sure that I'm protecting my energy. And I do find myself in that space where I feel like I'm doing something negative when I'm not helping a person that's basically asking me for help. And you're right. Like when you're setting your boundaries, you definitely got to make sure that you're thinking about protecting your energy first, because you can't give out good energy to people if you're not. I just want to say I appreciate y'all. Thank you very much for answering my question. And thank you for coming out and doing this interview. We need more people to kind of help us get a hold onto these feelings that we got going on, because a lot of us feel like just our normal feelings are wrong. And I don't necessarily have the answer on how we should deal with that, but definitely we have to get our minds unwrapped around just having regular feelings being wrong, and figuring out how we're gonna be okay with that. But thank you again, man. I appreciate y'all, and have a good day, bro.
Mindset, I love you. Appreciate you. Thank you for coming up. No, and always bringing it. Oh, did it? It looks like Sean just got dropped. I wouldn't be surprised if his phone died or something crazy like that. So we'll give him a minute. Nadine, I see you came up to speak, but Mindset, thank you so much for coming in. If you don't know Mindset, everybody please follow Mindset. He is an amazing, amazing NFT artist and community leader here in the NFT realm, Web3, metaverse, you name it, real life. In real life, he is really an amazing community builder, speaker, just all around good human being. And you can tell just by the way that he speaks and the fact that he's mentoring people, which, by the way, when you have feelings of being helpless, look where you can help within your community. Look where you can help nearby. Mentoring people is a great way to do that, especially in times of, I hate to say it, war, where we feel like we can't do anything. Look into your community, look into your neighborhood, try to help who you can nearby. Okay, that's my little rant. Thank you, Mindset, for coming up. I'm going to now have Nadine on the microphone. Thank you for coming in. We're going to close this room at 2 o'clock, if that's okay with you, Sean. I know I got to respect your time. And then after Nadine, we have one more request, and then I think that's it. So Nadine, please, thank you for coming up.
Hi there. Hi, guys. I joined the room because I loved the title, and ironically, I did a post earlier this morning about how I was afraid to speak in Twitter Spaces, and what I did to kind of overcome that fear. But I find that there's a lot of mixed messages on Twitter, social media about take yourself take a break. You have to be on all the time, and it's hard for, especially with in the NFT community. My partner's an artist, so I've been kind of following the NFT community for a while, and so I guess my question is, what do you recommend to people for those who want to turn things off for a little bit when they're constantly being told to be on all the time, and then they feel guilty for not being on? Because I think there's a sense of guilt that some people feel when they take a break, and it's unfortunate because people do. It's okay to take a break, but a lot of people are made to feel that they shouldn't, or that they feel kind of guilted by that. So I'm just wondering if you have any advice on that.
That's an excellent question, Nadine, and I can, in fact, relate to that feeling and that story very much, because back during when I was all about streaming on Twitch, same vibe, same thing, lots of guilt for taking breaks and all that good stuff. As far as, and I say good stuff, obviously, but very loosely, very loosely. As far as what it is you need to do, that's the beauty of it, Nadine. You don't need to do anything. A lot of times when people are looking for how to get out of mindset stuff, they ask me, what do I need to do in order to break free from this? What needs to happen for me to break free from that? There's nothing that you can do as far as actions, as far as verbs. It's all within. It's all inner. I mean, journaling is one way you can put it out on paper, but to answer your question, though, what I'm hearing from you is that it's a lot of self-judgment. So in order to let go of self-judgment, it starts with self-awareness. Where are these thoughts coming from? And then to let go. Because at the end of the day, when you take breaks, there will be people who will be maybe a little pissy about it. There will, your fans, your followers, they may forget that you're a human being, but that's okay. That's their journey. That's their adventure. That's their life. And their life is happening perfectly to them as it's happening perfectly for you. So when you want to take that break, take that break. Understand that everything is working for you. Listen to your body. Your thoughts are going to tell you, oh, don't take the break. Oh, maybe my followers might be upset with me. I may not be able to be successful because of this. I want you to sit with those thoughts and understand that's what they are. They're just sentences. Just like a feeling is just a vibration. Thoughts are just sentences, and feelings are just vibrations. But they aren't who you are. You're just feeling them. They're just a part of you in that moment. They're not who you are, though. So it's about detaching from the story. It's about detaching from the vibration. And sitting with the vibration for what it is. It's just a vibration. And when you can do that, you can then change the story behind the feeling as well. Oh, well, I feel guilt for taking a break today. Ask yourself why. Well, because of this, and that. You know it's part of your conditioning. You know it's coming from your mind. It's not coming from you. And I don't